We in session and cause number 328948, case of style of state of Texas versus Christopher Namick. We have Mr. Christopher Namick appearing via Zoom. Mr. Namick, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Namick, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Namick, you may put your hand down. Mr. Namick, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I would be doing better if I wasn't in here.
I understand that. Now, Mr. Namick, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney William Wilkerson, who is also appearing via Zoom. Mr. Wilkerson, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Wilkerson, you waive a record in Mr. Namick's case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Namick, I have before me information that alleges that on or about January 20 to 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of assault. Mr. Namick, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Namick, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, you're pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Namick, I have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On page 1, there's one box that's checked stating that this is a Class A misdemeanor and the range of punishment for a Class A misdemeanor is confinement in jail for a term not to exceed 1 year, a fine not to exceed $4,000, or both such confinement and fine. On page 2 of this document, Mr. Namick, there's one box that's checked, and that box there, next to that box, there's a line. On that line, there's one set of initials, CN. And that box that's checked is titled guilty. Did you place your initials on this line?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Did you sign this document?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Namick, did you sign a document out there on paper that is titled Discovery Certification?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Namick, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I have just mentioned, did your attorney, Mr. Wilkerson, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections, Mr. Wilkerson?
No, Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibit Number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Wilkerson, you have advised and counseled Mr. Namick. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
Your Honor, not currently.
Okay. Now, Mr. Namick, your attorney, Mr. Wilkerson, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Namick, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea of guilty and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
101 days county jail. Defendants got credit for 101 days. The court cost to be taxed and retired.
Mr. Namick, the state is offering that you serve 101 days in Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any more time in jail on this case because you've already served 101 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you will be given credit for time served. The court cost, Mr. Namick, in this case is $387. But you will not have to pay the court costs because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Mr. Naaman, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Naaman, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Naaman, this will conclude your case. Please follow the bailiff and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Okay, Mr. Wilkerson, this will conclude your case. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Judge. You as well.
You're welcome. Thank